Welcome back, everyone, to the Bear Shop Plays YouTube channel. Today is Tuesday, November 12th, and I'm back breaking down some more plays of the Tuesday night slate of games in college basketball. We've got a great slate tonight. Should be two top 25 matchups. Don't know how Michigan State's not ranked yet, but Kansas going up against Michigan State. We also have Duke going up against Kentucky. Kentucky new head coach. Have a double game pick, double player prop, both player props being in one of those two games. Before we get to that, let's take a look at the Alabama game. And it was a great game. McNeese State, they found themselves down by 21 points at one time. Did not matter. They came all the way back, made it a 6-point game with 4 minutes left. Alabama's a good team. And McNeese State showed up, showed out. We did take the plus 18.5. I think they lost, I think it was a single-digit loss. I mean, they held Alabama to not making a field goal in like 10 straight minutes. So very, very good performance from McNeese State. They did cash. I feel horrible about the Butler-Western Michigan game. If anybody took that, I did take it. I feel horrible. Wasn't an official play, but Western Michigan plus 18.5. They were winning in the first half. They were down by 4 at the half. They cut it to a 5-point game with 10 minutes left in the second half, and then they lost by 20, only scoring 2 points in the final 5 minutes. That is a brutal, brutal way to lose. One of the worst beats I've had in college basketball so far. Won't be the worst, though. I have a feeling there's going to be one worse than that, but I did watch the game. Butler, they came out in the second half 14 or 17-2 runs starting the second half, so it's hard for a team like Western Michigan to bounce back from that. But they did, cutting it to 5. They just couldn't finish. So really, really tough one there. We did go 1-0 on the game pick, 0-1 on the player prop because Mark Sears only shot the ball 7 times tonight. He scored 15 points. Still as good as ever. I think he started the game 4 for 4, 12 points. But yeah, Alabama really didn't need him. Alabama did score a bunch of points. McNeese State, they were locking down Mark Sears. So again, McNeese State played well. We'll take the 1-1 day. We'll push. We will push going into Tuesday night because we've got some big games on Tuesday night. Kansas going up against Michigan State. This is going to be a classic, and it's going to be the State Farm Championship Classic. This is always a great game. We see Michigan State and Kansas play each other, I feel like it every single season early in the year, but it's not. Michigan State, they've lost the last 3 going up against Kansas. In 2022, Kansas beat them by 13 points. Michigan State has started off their season perfect, just like Kansas. They have one of the best players returning, Jaden Atkins. He looks to be the leader for this team. They've got a couple returning players are going to be in the starting lineup. They have a guard, a freshman, Jace Richardson. He looks pretty good so far this season. The spread, it's -6. The Jayhawks really should have covered the spread in that last game against North Carolina. That one's on Coach Self. Put your hand up, Coach Self. No adjustment at halftime. He thought, well, we're up 18 points. We're clearly the better team. The bench is playing great. North Carolina looks horrible. North Carolina made the adjustments. They played much better in the second half. North Carolina had potential to win that game late, but I think Kansas is the best team this season. I mean, if they had a coach in that game, they could have won that game by 20-plus points. Not saying that Self's a bad coach because he's going to be in the Hall of Fame, but he needs to start coaching his guys, not just rely on the talent he has. But this is title town for Jayhawks. I really don't like the Hunter Dickinson play either. He's a liability out there for the Jayhawks. Doesn't play defense. He's got a great catch and shoot, low turning around, floater hook shot, something that he does the last 3 or 4 seasons, but he's a liability defensively. I've been saying that for a couple seasons now. He needs to be out of there on the bench, coming off the bench. I think Harris is one of the best defenders in the nation, but he doesn't shoot. That's a big problem for your point guard. Even though Kansas has all these players, they still need to have Zeke Mayo in the starting lineup because this guy is so good. He is so special. Zeke Mayo, AJ Storr, those guys got to be in. He needs to be a starting point guard, starting shooting guard. Both those guys will score 20 points per game. You can mix and match if you want. Take Hunter Dickinson, put him on the bench. You can mix and match AJ and Zeke, bench to starter, but it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, you have 8 players on this Kansas team who can score 20-plus points per game. They're going to be playing 25-plus minutes per game, most likely anyway. North Carolina's a really good team. Kansas dominated them in the first half, made the adjustment in the second half. But in this game, we got to take the 6. We got to take Kansas -6 here. Michigan State, they've got some good players, but nothing compared to Kansas. So I'm going to take Kansas to dominate in this one. 13-point win, -6 as the play. For the next play, we're going to be looking at Duke going up against Kentucky. Mark Pope, the new guy for Kentucky. Big shoes to fill, did a pretty good job in the transfer portal. He has 2 leading scorers this season, both of them guards, Otega Owa and Kobe Bree. One of them from Oklahoma, the other one's from Dayton. Those 2 guards this season, both scoring 15-plus points the first 2 games. They also have a couple big boys down low. One of them from Drexel. The other one's from Wake Forest, who I talked about a little bit ago in the last 2 videos ago, I guess, on Sunday. Andrew Carr is now on Kentucky. So this team has some really good players. I know that Mark Pope is a really good coach from BYU. BYU was great last season in the Big 12, playing some really good competition. Big 12, probably the hardest conference to play in for college basketball, but now he's coaching Kentucky. He's got the pull now with the Kentucky name to get a lot of transfers to get whoever he wants. So far, so good. They've done a really good job scoring 100 points per game. They're shooting the ball well. This is going to be a good matchup against Duke. Everybody knows Duke's got a lot of great players. They beat the brakes off of Army, putting up 100 points, playing good defense. Cooper Flagg's going to be really good this season and in the NBA. So I think Duke's going to win this game. I think it's going to be close, though. Going to be a free throw kind of game at the end. Give me Kentucky here to cover the number. Plus 6.5 as the final play. Let's go over to the player props for tomorrow. We're going to start with Duke going up against Kentucky. This is the best player in college basketball. Cooper Flagg over his total points. Some people probably going to be a little bit mad for me saying he's the best player in college basketball. I should say he has the most potential because this is your number one pick in the draft unless something drastic happens. He does have everything you're looking for at the next level. And so far this season for the Blue Devils, they really haven't needed him to score a lot of points, but they're going to need him to score in this game because this is going to be one heck of a matchup going up against Kentucky. I think he's going to score 20-plus points in this game. Cooper scored 18 points in the first game going up against Maine, but he was held in check for the most part going up against Army. He scored 13 points, only shot the ball 10 times, but again, they won that one by like 34, 35 points. This is going to be the toughest test so far for Duke. They're going to play through Cooper Flagg, their best player. They haven't been tested yet this season. This is going to be a good test for them against this Kentucky team. Cooper Flagg is going to be the guy in this game. He's going to take over at times. He's going to shoot hopefully 15-plus times on the field. I think he's going to have a monster day. Give me his over total points as the first play. For the final play, we're going to be looking at him. Zeke Mayo of the Kansas Jayhawks over his total points against Michigan State. I've already talked about Zeke a little bit. I think he should be in the starting lineup, but I understand it's nice to have a guy coming off your bench who can score 20 points per game. In the first game of the season against Howard, he played 23 minutes. He shot the ball 12 times. He scored 19 points. He made 5 threes. Second game, 29 minutes against North Carolina, shot 14 times, scored 21 points, made 3 threes. He shot 50% from the field in both those games. We saw him perform at a very high level against North Carolina. Not only did he score, had 5 rebounds and 4 assists also coming off the bench. This is one of the best players in college basketball. He's going to be putting up a lot of points again in this game against Michigan State. And I think he's starting to show Kansas that this is the guy that you look for whenever you need a bucket. They have a ton of players who can score 20-plus points per game. I've said that a ton, but the Jayhawks need a number one guy. They need a guy who says, I need a bucket. Go get me a bucket. Here's the ball. Zeke Mayo's the guy. This has been the guy for South Dakota State. This is going to be the guy for the Kansas Jayhawks all season long. He's not afraid of the big moment. And what's crazy about Kansas is that David Colt, starting against North Carolina, he deserves to start. He scored 20-plus points per game last season for NIU. He was one of the MAC Players of the Year season at Kansas. He's only scoring 4 points per game. This guy last year, 21 points per game, shot 17 times per game. This season with Kansas, he's scoring 4 points. I know that it's early, but whenever you look at the Jayhawks roster and you see everybody from last year scoring 20-plus points per game, it makes it hard to think they're going to win a title. Zeke Mayo, he's so good that a guy who scored 21 points per game last season can't get his shot because Zeke Mayo takes over. I'm taking Zeke Mayo over his total points as the final play. Let's go over the recap graphic. We're going to be taking Kansas -6 against Michigan State, Kentucky plus 6.5 going up against Duke. We've got Cooper Flagg over his total points going up against Kentucky, and then Zeke Mayo over his total points going up against Michigan State as the final play there. Guys, it's going to do it for the NCAA basketball picks and props for Tuesday, November 12th slated games. So you guys enjoy the content. Please sure to drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel below. See you guys next video, and thanks for watching.